Thank you for joining us for the leadership call. We are so excited today because we have one of our phenomenal coaches on. And I want to tell you, if you've never had the pleasure of meeting Lee, being in her presence, she is automatically calming and you just naturally fall to whatever she says. I don't know how she seems to do that, but she does it so well. I was impressed the first time I met her and I said, "Oh my gosh, I need you on a we need you here. We need you to come lead one of our leadership calls." So today she's going to be talking to us about mastering the profit boosters. So Lee, without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. I'm so happy to be here. I guess it's going to be 5 years that I've been with LeTip in Mount Sinai in New York. And yeah, we're expecting a storm tonight. But we shall see. It's not been a lot since we come in. So a little bit of background about who I am. I'm in my 18th year of business here on Long Island, although my clients are literally all over the world. I have been helping small businesses get more money and more time. And I like to work with people who are difference makers, who want to make a great impact in the world and make a difference in the world they lead. So I say, when you have a lot more money and a lot more time, you can make a bigger difference that you want to make and that the world needs. What I'm about to show you today is it's very common. I don't teach rocket science. I'm just, it's very simple and it works literally in every business, in every industry. And most importantly, this works in any and every economic environment, which given what's going on in today's world, I'm sure people are happy to know that regardless, it will still work for you. So will it work for you? Yes. It will work for you if you work for it, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to, did you make me co-host here, Summer?
I
Can I
did.
share the screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And by the way, I'm so honored to be here. I'm so happy to be able to connecting with more of the LeTip community and getting more involved. I wish I could make it to the Wednesday lunch bunches, but unfortunately I have a weekly business alchemy program that I run 1:30, so there's not enough time for me in between to do it. But so that's too bad. But I'm happy I'm here. Which means I can't, the coaching one, I can't make that either because it goes from like 2 to 3. It doesn't work. But anyway, what can we do? We do what we can. And so I'm so happy to be here. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I'm inviting you to step on the path to Prophet's End. Now, this has actually it's the same path. It's had several names over the course of my company. It started out as double your money in 6 months is less, or 6 months or less. And currently I think it's going to be purposeful profit, but it's too much of a mouthful, but I'm still playing with the new name for it. So if you guys got any suggestions, I'll take them. All right, so welcome. I did have a podcast. I'm not doing it anymore. So we're going to move on to that. Particularly what's going on. Who here has been in business for at least 5 years? Can I do a gallery so I can just kind of see everybody? Where's gallery view? Okay. Maybe I'm going to see more people. All right. All right, great. Who's had some up and downs in their business? Who here would like to have more money in their business? All right, good. So one thing before I get started, I want to say, more people say to me, Lee, what's the number? I say to them, what's the number one thing you want more of in your business? They say, Lee, I just need more business, or I need more leads, or I need more of this, and I need more of that. I said, the truth is, if you get more business, it does not mean you're going to get more money. It absolutely means you're going to be spending more time, but it doesn't mean you're going to get more money. And getting more leads, well, it's great to get leads, but if you can't enroll those leads into your business, into what you sell, then what's the good of getting leads? But more importantly, you want to get to the very heart of what's in everything. So I have a process, what I call the 3 keys to business ease, because these are stressful times, whether you're in business or not, right? We are in stressful, not knowing what's going on. And so what I have a video series, which I invite you to go see. I'm not going to go through it right now, but it's a 3-part series. And the point of it is to give you hope and then relief, which ultimately will bring you peace. So the best time is, again, staying with me here, and give your attention to me. I'm going to give you a lot. You might get overwhelmed. You may not get overwhelmed. I'm going to do it as quickly and as gently, and as humorously when possible. And yes, I will have a free opportunity for you for some if you want to come. All right. So I am just going through. I'm going to escape 1 minute. I'm usually better prepared, but anyway, hold on. All right. So what I like to do first is just kind of let everybody understand and do a little mindset. I'm not a mindset coach. I do have a program called Money Mindset Alchemy, but I'm not really a mindset, but I do teach mindset. And a lot of it starts with your reticular activating system. Has anybody heard of the reticular activating system? Right, yeah. So our reticular activating system, or your RAS or your RAS, again, there goes my hand. I don't know how this happens sometimes. Ignore my hand. Your RAS, which you can call it, it's kind of like our Google search engine. There are some sayings, energy goes where attention flows. It's an actual part of our brain. This is scientific. It's a scientific part, and it's an actual part of our brain that does act like a Google search. So what that says is that which we're focusing on, or that which is in the forefront of our minds, we'll see more of that. And because we're always trying to validate what our beliefs are, we are always looking for proof of what we're believing is correct, which is why people can look at the same thing and someone says, oh no, this is blue, and someone else can say, oh no, this is green. And because that's their perception. So examples I like to use is, I'm a mom, right? And so when I had my kids, all of a sudden, or when I was pregnant with my daughters, all of a sudden it was like I saw everybody seem to be pregnant and having babies. It's like, how could that be? Or another example is like when you get a pet and all of a sudden, like I have dogs and cats and chickens and things like that. And all of a sudden it's like, wait, does everybody have dogs and cats? It's because it's right in front of you. Another example is when you get a new vehicle and all of a sudden you start seeing that car all over the road. Anybody ever see that happen to them? Right? This is all your reticular activating system. And so what I'm going to ask you is, while you're here, is I want you to be looking for what's important to you and being paying attention, but also understand where your business is right now. It's also depending on what you're focusing on. Whoop. So what gets into this is another thing. Oftentimes when I'm working with people, I'll say, I will tell you something. I'll say, the sky is blue. And a common response is, yeah, but Lee, there's clouds, and it's like, yeah, but. So anybody, yeah, but, or I know that, and those kinds of things, what that does is shut down your brain. So when I say, oh, to a client, I said, oh, we're going to try this strategy. And they say back to me, yeah, but Lee, I tried it and it didn't work. You're saying, yes, you're agreeing, but then what you say after that but negates everything you said beforehand. So I'm asking you to be very open as while we're going through this presentation. And I'm happy you're here. And thank you so much, Summer, for having me. This is such an honor and such a privilege. And I'm very grateful. This is just a little bit about me. As I said, I'm from Long Island. I started my business. Actually, I joined with Action Coach, which is a business coaching franchise, back in 2006. I left them and went out to form Monarch 13 Group LLC in 2014. So I'll be in 10 years of my own business. And I was a currency trader. My very first position was a currency trader with several different banks. My claim to fame, my 10 minutes of fame was I was the first woman to trade Japanese yen for a Japanese bank in the world. I then went from Citigroup and I was a global product manager. And now I'm helping real people with real businesses and real lives. So what is Business Bliss and why does it matter so much to me? You know, I used to call it, instead of Business Bliss Academy, I used to call it Results Mastery Academy. And what happens is that when I would say Results Master Academy, people are like, oh, I'm too stressed to do that. I have no time to do that, because which is a very typical reaction of business owners and people in business, right? You are too busy. You're doing a million things. So what Business Bliss is and Profit Zen is, it's not like a monk sitting on the hill going, oh. It's not about just reacting, and we usually react poorly, and it's not pretending that life is good and everything's perfect in the world. And it's not about being overwhelmed or stressed out and succumbing to pressure. But what it is this: it's ease, it's fulfillment, it's impact, it inspires joy, and most of all, it's about having consistently growing profits regardless of what's going on in the world. When people tell me how much they make in revenue, I say, yeah, that and a token will get you in a subway. I'm dating myself, right? Revenue does not mean it's profitable. I can tell you, in I don't know how many thousands of businesses in the past 18 years that I've worked with and gone through, is that they'll tell me they're profitable, and according to their accountant, they're profitable. But when I go in and I start digging, I call myself a gold digger because I can always find some gold in anybody's business. When I start digging, I'll see they're not profitable at all, which is why they don't understand why they don't have more money in their business. It's a very simple thing to fix as well. So this is the blueprint. And by the way, any of these blueprints, be free to I'll put my email address in the chat at the end or whenever, and you're more than welcome to get a hold of any of my blueprints that I have. I have tons of them. This is my little how to avoid the 3 tricky traps. It's like there's hope, there's relief, and there's a path. So what I really want to talk about is, what is Profit Zen? Same kind of thing. You know, it's not foregoing any kind of spiritual religious beliefs, or that, oh, it's not about the money. Many people tell me, it's like, oh, but Lee, it's not about the money. I just love serving my clients and I help them. I work with a lot of heart-centered entrepreneurs. And so I say to them, well, as long as God is paying your bills, I guess that's okay. But it's not paying your bills. It's really helpful to have more than enough money, because more money, you can serve more people and make a greater impact. And it's not, again, being reactive, is saying, oh, I'm just going to wait for everybody to come to me. And it's not number crunching per se, but we'll get there. And again, it's not pretending and succumbing to presence. But it's still all these things. It's ease, it's fulfillment. Mostly it's predictability and consistent growth in your business. Again, regardless of what's going on in the world. So here's the thing. Money matters and numbers count. I love all things numbers. As I said, I've always been, I was a currency trader, numbers. I was a global product manager for a trade execution and confirmation platform. It's basically numbers. And everything, I love astrology. I love numerology. I love literally anything to do with numbers. And the thing is because numbers never lie. And I talk about numbers in a way that's different than an accountant. I work with many of my mentoring clients. I work with many of their accountants because we're kind of like a team for them. But it's the one thing that many of us business owners don't like to deal with. It's boring. It's annoying. It's your eyes glaze over. But it doesn't have to be if you can embrace it. And the reason why I do this again is because it's softer. Because when I used to call this double your money in less than 6 months, people again it would be too much work. And it's not about work. Honestly, it's not about work at all. It's not about adding more work. It's just having you be peaceful. So in order for you to find your peace, you got to know how much money, what your numbers, how much money do you really need in your business? which I go through the 3 keys of business ease. Where is your time going? Are you spending time or investing time? Time and money to me are the flip side of the same coin. And what are the products and services that you offer? And how does it all help you, the business owner, in the end? So once we know where we are, then we need to know where we're going. It's like this. I'm going to tell you a story. I was going on a trip to California, and I was so excited about this trip. And I live in New York. We have several different airports, and I was sure I'm going out of LaGuardia, and I was told my friend who was going there, I was going to meet there. Okay, I'm going out of LaGuardia. This is the flight. This is the time. This is when it gets into LaGuardia. This is when it gets in, etc. Things that we do. So I get there really early, everything. I'm excited. I go to check in, and I'm told, ma'am, you're at the wrong airport. You're supposed to be at Kennedy. Is there anybody here in New York or Long Island who understands what it can take for somebody to get from LaGuardia Airport to Kennedy Airport?
I have a friend from college. I used to drive to JFK, and which was great when we lived 15 minutes away from JFK, except I pull up to the departure gate and I'm flying out of LaGuardia this time.
It's like that Seinfeld episode. It was when they were going back and forth. I know that I digress, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we are sure that this is where we're going. We're sure that this is where we are. But then we get there and we find out, oh no, you don't need to, you're not here. You need to be there. That is a very common thing. Oh, by the way, I made up that story, but it proves the point because it happens, right?
I didn't.
It happens. The thing is that sometimes where we think we need to be or where we're going is not where we really need to be. Does that make sense? It might be where we'd like to be, but it's quite helpful to make sure that we are where we absolutely need to be first. There's a lot of people out there that focus your future and they keep you focusing on your future or do this and do that and everything else. The truth is, if not everything is working absolutely perfectly or perfectly enough to keep you consistently where you need to be easily, then you can't really be focusing on where you want to go, right? I'm never going to get to California on that trip going from LaGuardia Airport when I'm supposed to be at Kennedy Airport. So that's what it is. So once you know where you are, once you figure out where you really need to be, then you know what your gap is. So once you know what your gap is, just for example, say you're at 5 and you need to be at 10. So now you have a gap of 5. So then all you need to do is fill the gap. And that's sometimes a lot easier and simpler and faster than people think. Does that make sense? But if you don't know what that gap is, how are you ever going to fill it? And again, and the other thing I like to say, it doesn't matter where you are. It really doesn't matter because where you are right now is literally nothing more than a result of everything that's happened before this moment. So call it experience, call it learning, call it whatever you want. So it doesn't matter. You just got to know where you are so you can figure out where you got to go. So the other thing is that when you talk about your clients, who do you serve? Who do you serve? What is their problem? What is the thing? This is when you come about talking about like enrollment flow, AKA sales process. What is their problem? What keeps them up at night? And how do you solve it? And then once you have them, how do you keep them with you coming longer? Stats generally would say for every dollar you invest on a current client, you're going to have you'll have to invest $6 to $10 or more, who knows, to get a new client. Right? I mean, so if you just serving the clients that you have now, keeping them longer and growing, then what happens is that they become your sales work, like LeTip, right? We do this in LeTip for each other. We become each other's sales courses, but within our own business, it's also a very similar thing. So once you get them, you want to keep them and keep them happy. So here we go to, the map. It's like you know, what is your message? This is your marketing. And again, as I was saying, it doesn't, you have to market, right? We all have to market. We have to do stuff to get people so that we can enroll them and they can become our clients. But what is your message? And where do they hang out, and how can you find them? And what kind of conscious effort can you put through? I know I talk fast. I'm a New Yorker. I'm gonna. So this is the whole thing. It's like just your mindset. Your map is your mindset. How do you get your things? How do you deliver it? What is your commitment, not only to your clients and to your business, but to yourself? And how do you celebrate when things go well? It's so easy for us to beat ourselves up when we mess up, right? I mean, sometimes, we can spend an hour a day getting, beating ourselves up. How could we have done that? But when we celebrate and we have a really great thing in our business, how much time do we spend or invest actually in celebrating that? Right? How much time do we really give ourselves to celebrate when something is really, really great? Jen was like, yay, I did that. Let's go. But taking that time to celebrate is as important. So this is the crux of what I want to tell you. These are the 5 proven ways to expand your profits. And these are the 5 profit makers that are in every single business. It doesn't matter if you're a mortgage company or if you're a deli. The numbers are different, right? But they're still the same premise for the same things. And that's why this works all the time. And with everything else. So in order to get customers, you have to have new prospects, AKA marketing, and you have to convert some of them to be your customer. Yeah. Your sales process. So now that you have your customers are going to buy things from you. How often do they buy? A mortgage broker, I think the average is once every 5 years. And a deli, they would love you to be buying at least 3 times a day. But it's still an average number of transactions. And then, of course, an average dollar sale. Whoops, what's going on with my thing here? And that gives you your revenue. And then we have the money management side, which is your profit margin, right? So revenue is great, but if you don't really have great profitability, and a lot of people don't, this is where a lot of people don't really understand, where people get lost. Like the big one that I come across is that business owners will say they're profitable, but that profit amount of money is what they're living on. It's not actually profit, it's what they're living on, right? So actual profit, of course, is profit. And your salary, I would say your salary and what you pay yourself is an expense, just like your internet bill. And then that money left over is actual profit. So I want to give you I'm giving an example. Some people who don't like numbers, just bear with me. If you're not a numbers person, is there anybody who prefers not to look at the numbers in the business? And please, I mean, I'm telling you, it's more than most people don't. They say they do, but they don't. They kind of push it off. All right. If it isn't, it's just I want you to watch what happens mostly with the percentages. Okay, this is an example. And this is just math, right? 4,000 prospects, 25% enrollment rate. These are just basic numbers, right? Everybody get these numbers? Simple. Is there anybody who doesn't get these numbers? Right? Simple. Okay. So you have 4,000 prospects. You convert 25% out of them. So you get 1,000 clients or customers who on average purchase from you 2 times a year. This is an annual basis. And that 4,000 prospects a year, that boils down to 16 leads every business day. All right, that may be a lot, it may be a little, it all depends on your industry. Again, it's just an example, but it's 16 a day. So 1,000, and then number of transactions 2 times, like a dentist, and your average dollar sale, so forth and so on. Okay, got that? Simple. Okay. when you really know what these numbers are, look what happens with just a 15% increase in each one of these areas. So in other words, strategies and tools you put into place for each one of these 5-way areas, what happens to your business? Okay, so times 15%, right? It goes from 4,000 times a 15% is 4,600. What I tell you is why I tell you that's a 16 leads a day, because at 4,600, it's just 18 leads a day. So let's just say if you're able to get 16 leads a day, how much more difficult is it to get another 2? Right? Again, we're not talking rocket science. We're not talking anything crazy. And when I show this to accountants, they're like, whoa, because they don't even know this. I did have a couple accountants tell me that I lied, but that's another story. What can I say? So, so you have your enrollment rate or your sales process or your conversion rate, 15% increase. That's not a lot. Do you know that when you actually really, really watch and follow and pay attention to your conversion rate, it automatically goes up? That's my big business alchemy side of it, right? When when you manage the practical, you unleash the magical. Well, this is the practical. So look at that. So you don't have a 15% increase in customers, right? You don't even have a 30%, 15 and 15. You have a 32.2% increase. So do you see that there's this exponential thing going on here? Is anybody unclear on that? No? Okay, cool. All right, again, number of transactions, 2 goes just to 2.3. So maybe some people come 4 times, some people come 1 time, whatever. You just 50%. And then this is, your fries with the Coke kind of thing. You supersize me, however you do that. Look at that. That is a 75% increase in revenue, which is great as long as you're profitable, right? So in this case, we had a 25% profit margin. So again, just a 15% increase in your profit margin. Bam. And this is how you can double your money in less than 6 months. You can actually do it faster. This is literally what I do every single day of my life in my business in one way, shape, or form. It always comes down to this. Because it works, literally, for every industry, for every business, and every economy. Does anybody find this helpful? There are so many things that we can't control right now, right? With prices and rules and whatever, but these are the things, and these are things that we can control, because all we got to do is get better at them. Same thing here. Okay, so in order of magnitude, when it comes to your business, this is the order. Because you could have all the leads in the world, and you could be in an enrollment king or queen and everything else, and you can have be going that way. But if you still are not profitable, you're still going to be not happy, right? And if you have those times when you're not certain, you're hoping that you're going to get this much money or something, that's, you're hoping, you're thinking, you don't know why there's not more money in the bank. Well, it boils down to pretty much one of these. So in order of magnitude, we deal with the money management. And what is money management? It's your money and time. Time is the flip side of the same coin as money, right? You invest time to get money, and you invest money to get time. Sometimes you don't have to do either, but that's a general thought, right? You're in your business. If you're a solopreneur, you're doing everything by yourself. When you start hiring somebody, you're investing the money in that person so that you can have more time doing. The next thing is your enrollment process. It's not your enrollment rate is a result of your enrollment or sales process. I talk to business a lot. Many business owners don't really know. If you're in a service-based business, we all pretty much have the same enrollment flow. Brick and mortar, certain industries, it's a little different, but if you're in but most businesses fall into this. Obviously, obviously when you're dealing with actual inventory in a store and like brick and mortar, it's a little different, but still. And so what happens is that think about what happens between the first time you get a lead or a tip. Think about this in your LeTip group, in the leads that you're getting, and what is your conversion rate like in LeTip? I'm such a big bugaboo on this one because I can give a tip to somebody, but I can't guarantee they're going to get that client, can I? Or customer. Right? I mean, I can give them all the best tips in the world, but if they can't convert them, then that's not on me. So, and that's the point. The thing is that because a lot of people, most people don't really understand what goes on from the time somebody gets a tip, let's just say, until the time they give you your credit card, their credit card. Stuff happens, right? And if you really understand specifically what happens at all those different points, that helps you that does wonders for increasing your enrollment rate, but increases your enrollment rate and it ensures that the people that you're enrolling or you're signing onto your business are a really good fit for you. Not everybody is, and I say you want to get you love and appreciate the tire kickers, but you don't want to spend a lot of time with them. Right? Anybody have that? You go, they seem like they're perfect and everything else. You get to that last thing, you're talking to them for an hour and they're all really excited. Then at times comes times for them to pay you and like, oh, I can't do that right now. Anybody ever have that happen? I mean, that is frustrating. No one had that happen? You all excellent? Wow, I'm impressed. Maybe you have a really good flow, everything. And what I call in the third and the fourth is this, but this is pretty straightforward. And the marketing end of it, you see, it's the fifth place because understand, doesn't it make sense that if you don't have the rest of this in order, you can do the best marketing in the entire world, but it's what's it going to lead to in the very end? It doesn't mean you don't do marketing, obviously. Of course, you have to do some marketing. But it's just you don't go ahead with a big, huge plan until you really have the other things in place. We even with the person in my LeTip group too, I'll go back and forth because she's like, you got a brand, you got a brand, you got a brand. I said, well, you got to make money before you can worry about branding sometimes. And to invest in all that when you don't, when there's so many other things in your business that are more important to make sure you have consistently growing money matters. Anybody have any questions on this? Anybody have thoughts or comments on this?
Lee, one of the things that you said that really stood out is when you're tracking it, I can give the tips, but if you're not closing them, right? So being mindful, and that comes back to LeTip as well. Why do we close out our tips? It's not just because we want to track our ROI, right? But we're looking at a lot of different factors. Are we not sending you the right clients if you're not closing them? Are you, to what Lee said today, are you not closing them properly? Do you not understand certain parts of your business and how to convert them? Are you priced out of the market? So I think that, and like you said, your energy goes where you said it much more eloquently than I just did, but
energy goes where attention flows.
Thank you. That's it. I was like, I love that. And then I butchered it, but it's true. It absolutely does. So I think this is a fantastic example.
And the thing is, and all of this is in our control. In a world that seems ridiculously out of control, isn't it nice to know that you can still run your business profitably and consistently growing despite all that? And it doesn't change, and it will never change. But that's true. The other thing is that I like to refer to the number of transactions and the average dollar sale. I actually put that in the category of, well, I call them faithful followers. I use a lot of very soft language because I had too many people say, as I said, when I used to call my academy Results Mastery Academy, they would get like automatically overwhelmed. Well, ever since I turned it to Business Bliss Academy, like, oh, that would be nice. It just changes everything. And so when I say it softer, it's still the same thing, but it doesn't sound like as much work, which means more time, which they don't have, and they're overwhelmed, and et cetera, et cetera. But I really, that is client retention. And even with the tips, and I stress this, and I stress this. I am the tip master in my group, but I stress this all the time. It's got to keep track of the reoccurring income from the tips that people get. You know, a lot of people think it's like one and done, but it's really good for us when we receive a tip to somewhere, some way. This is what I've taught the people in my group. Do they do it? I don't know. I give them the tool. I can't make sure you use it. But a tool, just a place to put the people who, the actual people who I referred. One of them, well, I don't know if it's because he's so good at remembering, the plumber in our group, my next door neighbor I gave him the tip, and now he's his plumber. Harold is his name. For some reason, I see Frank go by my window, go into Harold's house. I don't know how that works. It's not like I spend all day in my kitchen, but I'll see him and I can see that he went by. But just as members, every tip that we get, put it in a place. I love spreadsheets, as you can imagine. Create a spreadsheet for all the people in your group as they give them, obviously, you know, as you're getting a tip with the new person. And if that person comes back, mark it down. And you should do that again. That goes into the client retention thing, and back to the number of transactions, your average dollar sales. You can see how that fits in there, right? You should be doing this anyway, but especially because you have your LeTip members and interchapter members also giving you tips that you're now closing and you're working with. It's good to make sure you are putting that, because you know what else that also does? It shows you how well the tip is working for you. It's one thing, but yeah, I mean, that shows you how well it's really working for you. And I'm sure, like, I know when we do our revenue, there's a lot more revenue that goes on in our group than we actually report, because people don't think about those kinds of things. So, but it is important. It's important for your own business, and it's really important as a chapter that you do this for the sake of the chapter. So I'm just going to give you some real stories. All right, these are just example. We have Dawn. Dawn is this woman. She can do it all. She can serve it all. You can count on her. She'll get it done. Wonder Woman. So this is this is one of my real clients. Her name wasn't Dawn, but she had a little bit this going, and this was her actual numbers. Not that it matters, but she was an attorney. She is still an attorney, but she's an attorney. So this is, and I'm just going back to the same numbers that I've used in the two examples, right? With the example, I want to keep those numbers the same, because again, it's just percentages, so you can really see the impact. So look, we decreased the amount of leads she got. Well, because she wasn't getting great leads. Does that make sense? So now she's getting better leads because she got better at honing her message. And we doubled her enrollment rate. Doubling your enrollment rate is a lot easier than you think it is. Again, once you understand what it is, it starts growing. But that's a lot easier than you can imagine. So look at that. She had a 50% increase in clients. Some people, when I look at I can't have 1,500 clients. That's a 50% increase. These are good clients. If anybody, you say you need more business, this is how you increase the number of clients, just by this. And it doesn't mean more leads. It just means just enrolling the right ones and more of them. That remained the same. We raised her prices because, well, she hadn't raised her prices in 5 years, which is not uncommon. I mean, I know people now, the first thing I say to them now, especially, when's the last time you raised your prices? Because if you've not raised your prices almost like monthly, it seems, but at least in a year with all the way things are going, you're really making less money. So here she had a 100% increase in revenue as a result. Now, managing these extra clients was not that much more time. So it's just in her business how it worked out, right? She didn't have enough. She was an attorney. Now, in this case, in this case, we decreased the profit margin because she was now paying herself a salary. So her salary went in there as an expense, as it should be. And she was paying herself more money than she made in the last three years prior. So ultimately, then she wound up with this actual profit. What can you do with actual profit? Any ideas? What do you do with your actual profit in your business? Rough crowd, Summer, rough crowd.
Yeah, so I'll tell you, so the profit that we have, we reinvest back into, right? So we're reinvesting into Wired, we're reinvesting into, I don't know why I can't speak today, into technology, right? What the members want. So we're listening to the membership and reinvesting that way.
Yeah, but that's a great one. Or you can expand your team. Or now's the time to bring on a marketing company and do something great. There's a lot of things you can do because it's profit. It's not actual expense. Do you need a new vehicle for the business? I mean, whatever it is. Heck, you can even take a business holiday, whatever it is. But it's over and above. And again, it's all very simple and it works in every business. So this was Jackie's. This is again another one of my clients. I'm just going to go through this really quickly. And just you can see, right? In her case, we cut her leads in half. And we tripled her conversion rate. And look at that.
And I think what's really great about this, Lee, is when you look at this and you go, okay, new prospects, 4,000. How much time does that take you to filter through those 4,000? How much more efficient are you at the 2,000? And then look at the end of the day, the profit, but that doesn't even calculate your time.
Right. Well, and again, I just use those numbers because it keeps the numbers the same. I mean, as I said in the beginning, 4,000 leads, it all depends. If you're getting 4,000 leads a year, then you probably have an automated system that goes through them and things like I do. Like I have a platform. People log in and everything, and it goes through that way. But it could be, and it doesn't matter if it's 40 or 400 or 4,000. Right? Again, the number is not important. It's that percentage. But yeah, but going, decreasing, it frees up a lot more time. And guess what? You're getting much better leads is what you're getting. So they're pre-qualifying themselves, which is why then you can increase your enrollment rate so much because they're already pre-qualified through your marketing messaging. But this is really Zoe, she was like so overwhelmed. In fact, she was at the point where she was going to names are changed to protect the innocent, by the way. Obviously, she was so overwhelmed. She was the floor. She is. No, she was. She wound up selling it, but she was a florist and she had 2 shops and she was overwhelmed and frustrated. She wasn't working. And she was really on the brink of who knows what, personal collapse. What we did with her, though, we actually closed down the one shop. She was able to sell it. So she got to sell that money. She was able to take that capital back in and going forth. And then these are her numbers. But it doesn't matter. You can sell your building. You can do all those kinds of things. But on a day-to-day basis, this is what keeps you going. So you can see in this case, right, we reduced the amount of customers that she had. And again, that's actual profit. So I give you these examples because it doesn't matter. Once you know the numbers, you work with them in reality, depending on what you do. And as I said, the first thing I do with any of my clients is start with their money and their time. That's the first place I start. Because generally they're working crazy hours and they're kind of haphazard and suffer from entrepreneurial ADD. Anybody have that? I tell people I'm the prescription for entrepreneurial ADD, but not the cure because it's incurable. That's why we went into business for ourselves, I think, you know? Anyway, so yeah, and then your enrollment rate. And those two things alone, I mean, I've had clients by doing that within 3 months, they turn their quarterly income into their monthly income. Because you can see how it's simple. Is it easy? No. What's not easy about it is we got to do things that we're not comfortable doing. We don't want to do them and things like that. But it's very simple and it really works in every business. So what would be possible for you in your business? I don't see the world getting any less crazy this year. Anybody else think it is? Anybody think it's going to get worse? But you could control your destiny just by understanding these numbers, just by understanding how these work in every business. This is not rocket science, but it does work. And I can tell you, I have had a lot of accountants as clients over the years. I do some other things with them, but even accountants don't look at your numbers this way, right? That's not their job, which is why they actually make great partners for me and attorneys. But, you know, again, I have worked with so many industries, and that's why people say, well, how come I don't focus on an industry? This is just me. What's great about me is that I always remain a third party objective view. I'm not in the box. You know, I'm not in the accountant box. I'm not in the salon box. I'm not in the box. And that keeps me objective. It's easy to get caught up, but well, we do this in our industry. I was working with a salon one time and she wanted to bring in more business on Tuesdays because it was a very slow day. So do you know what we're going to do? We're going to have Tuesday happy hour from like 4 to 6. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this and you're going to do it as a demonstration. You're going to do something. You're going to do a haircut, a coloring, something like that. And we're going to make it a real party. So she's giving education to people, and then she put it on Facebook Live. She also put it on YouTube Live, you know, and she made it a party. And then people wanted to come to the party. People want to come to parties. And people wanted to get chosen as the demonstration model. Did that cost her any money? No. Did it cost her any time? No, she was there anyway. But boy, did it make a big difference to her bottom line. So so any questions, anything you'd like to know? I mean, I'm really all about, when I teach marketing, I do teach marketing, but I'm not a marketing company. But I do teach like free strategies like that, making that a party, all different things. Any questions? Any thoughts?
You have your hand, Paul, you have your hand up. You want to go ahead and unmute?
Sure. Thanks, Summer. Lee, great presentation. So when you said, can it get worse? So coming from retail as I did, I was a retail florist. So when I travel with Summer once a month all over the country, it looks like the demographics of Main Street USA are changing. The small businesses are closing, right? When you look in by me, I have large office parks. They're knocking down 3 of the 5 and now making residential apartments because there's more money in residential apartments than office buildings. How does it turn around and change when there's really, they're making that there's no more room for what was there to come back? How does it change? How does small Main Street USA ever come back when there's Amazon trucks all over the place?
Well, Paul, honestly, we have to just get creative. It's hard for me to say for any one business what they can do or not do, right? I have to sit down with each individual. That's where the individuality comes from that. But there are things that they can do, even a brick and mortar. I mean, as I said, just like it was a florist, but a salon, you know, just having creating an environment where more people would come. The problem is, though, also they're not profitable because they don't really know where their money's going. You know, they don't know where they are. They don't really know where they are. And I say
Lee,
this,
I used to find people loved being in business just to be in business,
yeah,
right? Like you said, they didn't know the business well. The numbers were the furthest thing from their mind, but they really got off on, I turned the key and I own a business. And I found for me as a small business owner, it's the total opposite of that,
it is.
right? It was trying to buy the flowers as cheap as I can, even though I can't compete with the supermarket.
Right.
Trying to change my margins. I did a flower hour, like you said, the hairdresser. Every
Mhm.
day, 4 o'clock was a flower hour to try to pull people to buy cash flowers and cheaper, right? I was trying to compete with this.
Yeah, yeah. As I said, I've worked with florists, so I understand that.
So again, but there's some people, and I don't want to say those are the ones that go out, but they go out faster, the
They
ones
do.
who just really thought it's so easy to own a business, right? And I will tell you, crossing the other side of owning a business, and when you said the ups and downs and all of these things, right? For me, tomorrow's Valentine's Day is coming. It was the hardest, most single day. The stores filled with roses. Majority of buyers are men. Men are
Right.
very unpredictable, where women are very predictable. It was a crapshoot at best.
Yeah.
So now I look at, crossing to the corporate side. I will tell you, as somebody who did well and loved being in a business, there's something to get in a paycheck every 2 weeks.
There is, but you know what you know what somebody recently said to me, and it's so true. Entrepreneurs were the only people who quit a 9-to-5 job to work 24/7 for
Yeah,
ourselves.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah, but well, because the one thing I cannot change is someone's willingness to change.
Right. Right.
You know, I've had people that, and in fact, I had this recently, a client, I stopped working with her because she just wouldn't do anything I told her to do. You hire me, you're paying me really good money for it. I tell you to do this, do it. And would fight me on everything. And it gets exhausting,
Right.
you know? So that's what it is if you're really open, you can do it. There are things that you can do. There's always things you can do. And it's just, I always want to go back to when you go to say, when we were in the last recession, supposedly we're not in a recession now, but that's out of this conversation. But in 2008, when everything was so bad, right? You go to the mall. What's the only store? What was the only store in the mall that was always busy, even in 2008? It's not hard. Apple. Did Apple put their stuff on sale? But somehow people still manage to get to Apple and buy their Apple products.
Right.
I just want to say, being respectful of everyone's time,
Yeah.
we are at the top of the hour. Lee, this was a fantastic presentation and a great reminder to be mindful of where you're spending your attention and your energy. And this week for your commercials, figure out how many more clients you want and say that in your commercial. This week, I'm looking for 5 new clients, 2 new clients, whatever your number is, to really make those numbers impactful and let your group go to work for you.